After about 10 years, it looks like Marvel's Star Wars comics are finally going to get interesting, starting with Star Wars Legacy of Vader #1. Alright, maybe that was a little harsh, I'll grant you that, but let me explain. Marvel started publishing Star Wars comics again the same year that The Force Awakens came out, 2015. So it happened at the same time that we were opening up this new era of Star Wars movies and Star Wars storytelling, set 30 years after Return of the Jedi. And ever since then, I've been dying to see Marvel explore the sequel era more, give us more depth to not just those characters, but that time frame, show us what the galaxy looked like. And they have done that a little bit, but by and large, it's been the same eras, the same characters, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, etc., etc. This book, though, is going to give me something that I've been dying for a long time, and that's a deeper look at the events of the sequel trilogy. We're with Kylo Ren, the Adam Driver character from the movies, as he learns more about Darth Vader and his past and himself. In The Last Jedi, Kylo Ren was all about letting the past die. But in this book, it seems like he might learn that he needs to embrace and accept his past in order to move forward. Kind of like Darth Vader did, I guess? Our story picks up after The Last Jedi, a really strong opening scene as Kylo Ren does something publicly with the remains of Supreme Leader Snoke. Nothing gross, I assure you, but it does kind of feel in character for him. We see the remains of Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar in this issue. Yeah, Darth Vader had a castle on Mustafar, the same planet where he was burned and disfigured and turned into Darth Vader, basically. Not where I would have picked for my man cave, but okay. I've mentioned before the terrific amount of detail that artists that work on these Marvel Star Wars books put into them, and very few artists, if any, are better at that than Luke Ross. I was every bit as excited to see his name on this issue as I was our author Charles Soule's. But yeah, my hopes are high for this book. I'm as interested in Legacy of Vader as I have been any Star Wars comic in the last, I'll say, 5 to 10 years. Captain America: Brave New World comes out today, so let's talk about the comic book that's basically riding that movie's coattails. I say that respectfully. This is Sam Wilson, Captain America #2. So Sam Wilson and the Red Hulk are duking it out when we open this issue. That's really what I wanted to see out of this miniseries, a big fight between Captain America and Red Hulk. The fight doesn't last very long, though, and that kind of sucks. Hopefully they duke it out again before the story is over. I would be okay with them devoting an entire issue or two to just that fight. Incidentally, Red Hulk has a mustache in this book. For whatever reason, that makes me think of Henry Cavill and the Justice League movie and the whole CGI thing that they did. There are indeed some racial overtones in this story, particularly once we get to the last page. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I say go for it. What the heck? Speaking of which, this issue does indeed have a Black History Month variant cover, because whether the government wants to acknowledge it or not, Black History Month is indeed a thing. Just saying. I would think that generally speaking, people would prefer to be governed democratically as opposed to ruled via a self-imposed monarch of some kind. Like in America in particular, I think, at least instinctually, that's how people think. They want to believe that we live in a democracy. Like in the first Avengers movie when Loki is addressing the crowd and he's like, "You were made to be ruled." They're clearly setting him up as the bad guy. They're hammering that in. But what do you do when the monarch rises to power democratically. Like, what do you do when people want a king and the king rises to power via the majority? I'm actually not talking modern American politics right now. I'm talking about the first issue of Marvel's latest event comic, One World Under Doom. And the fact that you can't tell the difference between the reality of America and the premise to a Marvel event comic speaks to where we are right now. So in the world of Marvel Comics right now, Doctor Doom is the Sorcerer Supreme, which basically means he has Doctor Strange's job and presumably all of Doctor Strange's powers. And when we open this issue, we find out that most of the leaders of the world, like most of the world governments and whatnot, have pledged fealty to Doctor Doom. So he is essentially the ruler of the planet Earth now. But he doesn't do supervillain stuff. Instead, Doctor Doom decrees that under his rule, war between nations is outlawed. He's going to offer universal health care and free education for everybody who wants it. And if you're thinking, hey, that doesn't sound like such a bad deal, you are not alone, because the inclination by the end of the issue is that most of the people of the world are going to be on Doctor Doom's side, and they're going to like what he's offering them. But naturally, the heroes of the Marvel Universe think that he's up to something more sinister, and they take action accordingly. I know just a couple days ago I said I was going to kind of be more tempered with the political stuff, but I mean, this story premise kind of speaks for itself. It's meaty and relevant because of what's happening in the United States of America right now. Possibly more meaty and relevant than even Marvel intended. And I'm willing to say at this early juncture that One World Under Doom has the potential to be Marvel's most intriguing and thought-provoking event comic since Civil War. But you know what? Hey, it's not all politics, okay? There's fun to be had here too. Case in point, the Doctor Doom T-Rex that our author Ryan North introduced in the Fantastic Four ongoing series that he's also currently working on, is in this book as well. I mean, come on, it's a T-Rex dressed like Doctor Doom. I mean, how do you not like that? We meet Cyclops' space-traveling father, or at least I did, in X-Men number 11. And hey, look, they're all running from a space whale. At least that's what the issue tells us that is. I do like this cover, at least conceptually, but I do have a couple of nitpicks. First of all, Beast's body positioning and facial expression are a little bit suspect. It looks like he's taking a dump. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Hey, you know what? I had somebody tell me once that the faces I make on here make it look like I'm taking a dump, so who am I to judge? Also, I wish that they didn't do that red zigzag effect next to Cyclops' visor. I know that's supposed to be like smoke or whatever, but it looks weird to me. So yeah, Cyclops' father is in this issue, and he is a space traveler guy, I guess. No complaints, I didn't know. Although based on the fact that Cyclops' wife is a fire goddess and his son is a time traveler, the whole space traveling father thing doesn't exactly feel out of place. I left this issue feeling like X-Men is a little bit off course from a writing standpoint right now, and what sucks about that is I don't know that it's going to resolve itself anytime soon because we have an event comic crossover coming up, so that's more convolution. I'm going to keep hanging out though, at least for the time being. This book has built up a decent amount of goodwill with me, plus this story has a space whale in it. How mad can I really be? Reed Richards fingers a man's throat in Ultimate Wolverine number 2. Ew. So as a reminder, the basic premise for this Ultimate Wolverine book is, what if Wolverine was the Winter Soldier? What if he was a superpowered Russian assassin type working for the Russian government. And as a reminder, the person responsible for most, if not all, the prominent differences between the Ultimate Marvel Universe and the regular Marvel Universe is a character called the Maker. The Maker is like an evil version of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four, and he has all of Reed's super intelligence and his stretchy powers. Well, in the opening pages of this issue, the Maker uses those stretchy powers to rapidly stick his finger through a scientist's throat, presumably killing him instantly. I'm sure that's been done at some point in the past by a character with stretchy powers, but I think this is the first time I'm seeing it, so for the second time in 2 issues, I have to give Ultimate Wolverine credit for creative violence. I like the texture of this book from an artistic and coloring standpoint. It doesn't look painterly, but it's got like a painterly quality to it, I guess. But yeah, if you come into your Wolverine books looking for blood and gore and violence, I would think Ultimate Wolverine would be satisfying for you, at least at this early juncture. Venom switches symbiotes, kinda, in Eddie Brock Carnage #1. So Eddie Brock is traditionally the character that is associated with Venom. I'm almost positive that that's the character Tom Hardy plays in the 3 Venom movies. Yeah, I never saw the Venom movies. Sorry. But in a recent story, I guess that both Eddie Brock and the Carnage symbiote were mortally wounded, and to survive, they had to bond with each other. So now Eddie Brock isn't Venom anymore, he's Carnage, or he's with Carnage. And the Carnage symbiote is traditionally a lot more murderous and just evil than the Venom symbiote. So it's like a dark passenger type story we have going here. We've got Eddie trying to be good, and he's got this force of evil that he's carrying with him. And they channel that dynamic into a really fun first issue. We've got Eddie and Carnage hunting for a serial killer on a plane in midair. And of course, when they find the killer, all hell breaks loose. I'm not normally a big Venom and or Carnage guy, but you know what? This book has the makings of, I think, a really fun bad guy hunting bad guys book. So it's got my attention, at least for the time being. You know what I've really wanted to see in a comic book lately? I want to see a fight. I want to see a knockdown, drag out, no holds barred, hard hitting, call the cops but they can't do anything anyway fight. And I want to see a fight involving this guy, the Red Hulk. I want to see the Red Hulk beat somebody up and break stuff. I want to see the Red Hulk rip things up and kick ass. I want to see the Red Hulk rip ass. I don't know if it's because he's in the new Captain America movie or what it is, but I've been spoiling for a good Red Hulk fight sequence lately. And we don't really get that in Red Hulk #1, which came out this week. But we do get what could be the setup for a good fight. And you know what? That's a start. So in the Marvel Universe right now, we're in the middle of the One World Under Doom storyline, where Dr. Doom has basically conquered the world. And in order to do that, he needed to recruit a bunch of unwilling accomplices that he's holding prisoner. And one of those prisoners is Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, aka the Red Hulk. And the issue kind of turns into a big prison break sequence. But the opening scene of this issue actually features the Red Hulk on a plane. Feels like we should have Samuel L. Jackson here, doesn't it? It's a good suspenseful sequence, though. And actually the second sequence that we've seen on a plane in a Marvel book this month. Eddie Brock Carnage had a big opening scene on a plane as well. This might be yet another instance where Marvel has been unintentionally timely, given the plane-related tragedies that have recently taken place in America, what with Trump and the FAA, etc., etc. Red Hulk #1 is an objectively well-written and well-drawn comic book, but I admit I'm mostly interested in it given the prospect of what it could deliver to us later, that being a fight between Red Hulk and Dr. Doom. Come on!